Going live. You're live.
We're live.
Yeah, we did it.
Mostly how many cuts, how much material. I was still at the bottom. Foundation has been so much easier as one piece. Because yeah, we tried that in the first place. It was almost impossible. Had to make it two parts. Yeah, and the other thing I think is I put them side and holes in the side and pour those bottles. Well, what I had to do is get late. I had to have a bunch of put the machine up on the side and then back on the side, but before I go to the top and the bottom, stand up on the side. Well, it's soft, what I did was I a little bit of salt. Oh, you know what? I can keep going. There we go.
Good evening. Welcome to New Eden Fellowship. On behalf of the Martin family, we wish to welcome you here this evening as we celebrate the life of Heather Martin, as we grieve and mourn with the family in her passing, and also as we look to the kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and grace of Heather's Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I invite you to stand. We are going to open with a hymn that is a favorite of the family. Called "The Law of God." It'll be up here. It's in your hymnal number 133. 133.
Champion of heaven, made away from all to the winter. You make me brave. You call me out beyond the shore into the waves. You make me brave. You make me brave. No fear can hinder now the love that made a way. You make me brave. You make me brave. You call me out beyond the shore into the waves. You make me brave. You make me brave. No fear can hinder now the promises you made. Because of love, you may have to wait. Precious over me, precious over me. You are for us, you are not against us. Champion of heaven, made a way from all to where. Because you love, we have to wait. Precious over me, precious over me. You are for us, you are not against us. Champion of heaven, made a way from all to enter. You are my morning star. Though darkness fills the night, it cannot hide the light. Whom shall I fear? You crush the enemy underneath my feet. You are my sword and shield. No troubles linger still. Whom shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. My strength is in your name, for you alone can save. You will deliver me, yours is the victory. Who shall I fear? Who shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. Nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. Nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hands. I'm holding on to your promises. You are faithful. You are faithful. You are faithful. Who goes before me? I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. I know who goes before me, I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever, he is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. The God of angel armies is always by my side.
Good evening. I want to start our services, the scripture meetings of Heaven's Favorite Scriptures. We begin with one of her favorite, the last that I read to her, is our sister Barbara, Psalm 27.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evil men advance against me to devour my flesh, when my enemies and my foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear. Though war break out against me, even then I will be confident. One thing I ask of the Lord, this is what I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. For in the day of trouble he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his tabernacle and set me high upon a rock. Then my head will be exalted above the enemies who surround me. At his tabernacle will I sacrifice with shouts of joy. I will sing and make music to the Lord. Hear my voice when I call, O Lord. Be merciful to me and answer me. My heart says of you, seek his face. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my helper. Do not reject me or forsake me, O God, my Savior. Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Teach me your way, O Lord. Lead me in a straight path because of my oppressors. Do not turn me over to the desire of my foes, for false witnesses rise up against me, breathing out violence. I am still confident of this. I will seek goodness, the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord, be patient and take heart, and wait for the Lord.
Next, we have Psalm 121. Carries on.
Can I say a quick short story about this verse, this song in particular? When I was really little, when I was like 5, we have this upright piano in our house, and it's gorgeous and beautiful. And when I was really little, I would doodle on it, and I played this little F to C major fifth, and I made a little tune out of it. And my mom, she wrote a song out of it, and it was this song. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will never slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand.
The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore.
Next, we have 1 Thessalonians 4:13 and 14 by Talia Martin.
Brothers, we do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep, or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope. We believe that Jesus died and rose again, and so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who have fallen asleep in him.
At this point, I'm going to read, I guess, what we would call a message, but it's actually not going to be that. I decided to do something very different. I've done it through the last moments, or at least the last long conversation that I had with Heather, probably was the most difficult one. The one in the hospital was difficult, but this was baby called. And I couldn't even get to the hospital. I was pretty shaken up. She said a lot of things, and I wrote them down. Then I had a feeling that this was coming, and what I did was, because it was a lengthy conversation, but I took a portion, word for word, as we began to speak, the main ingredients, the main components of what we talked about. And I'm going to read it to you. Basically, just as it had been done. And it would read this way. I'm going to start from Hebrews. Hebrews 11, 1 through 2, out of the ESV. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it the people of old received their commendation. In my last conversation with Heather, there was a change in focus. It had went to the place of accepting the most difficult part of her battle. And this is the very part that we begin to discuss from this point on. I read to her 1 Peter 1, 6 through 9, which says, so truly be glad. There's a wonderful joy ahead, even though you have to endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show you that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. Though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the world. You love him, even though you have never seen him. Though you do not see him now, you trust him and you rejoice with a glorious, inexpressible joy. The reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your souls. I explained that at times in life, things get real good. We equate this goodness with God. We easily and naturally develop expectations that are common to life. Longevity, for instance. At least to the extent of seeing certain events come to pass, our marriages reaching fulfillment in years, our children graduating and walking down the aisle one day. It can become actually so packaged that we forget that God is at work at every moment in our lives, working his divine plan of eternal purpose. We can lose sight of the most valued gospel theme, that is the perfecting of our faith. Because things just begin to really get good. We read the stories like that of Abraham, who made many mistakes until one day his faith is fully developed, and without hesitation he rises early in the morning to sacrifice his own son, which we know God didn't desire. But he does desire that moment when faith in God results in complete trust. It is there that our faith has reached its highest point of purification. And every day God is working in our lives to get us there. Now, We are focused on the things that God gives us to enjoy and accomplish, not always sharply aware that in all of it, the priority of God is our faith. Heather was very kind. She was extremely gentle. She was actually so gentle. There were times when she would have a rant. She was very passionate about certain things. I know she really was passionate about sex trafficking. We didn't talk about that. But she was so gentle, sometimes even when she ranted, couldn't tell she was angry. So I'd be like, you need to knock something over, like a mic stand, nothing heavy. Just because she was so gentle, you know, but she was very serious. And, you know, she showed up to help with worship and pain, but also was demonstrating her faith. A faith unaware that was being perfected. I explained that we at times think God is looking at the use of our gifts, quality of our ministries, the depth of our commitment. But according to the scripture, his eyes are steadfast on our faith. And I said to her, what can we say to God when he sees what pleases him? For the scripture says, and Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God, and he was not, for God took him home with him. I told her that there's a reason why some of us haven't gone yet. God is still working out some stuff. Our faith is not perfected. Yet she pleased the Lord. Hebrews concludes of the patriarchs that passed on. Hebrews 11:13-16, which says, these all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having them seen and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on earth. For people who speak such things makes it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking about the land which they came from and gone out, they would have had an opportunity to return. But as it is, they desired a better country, that is a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. After I read those words, at the end of the verse, Heather said to me, it is well with my soul. So we all grieve, we mourn, and we cherish. But as believers in the faith, we also are mingled with joy at some point, because we celebrate the fact that she no longer not is just not in pain, but she's in the very presence of God, to whom we all are headed to at one point and one day. And this is the glory of our faith. Even though we long to keep her here, it's a fight because God wants her there with him. She leaves behind in this church an incredible testimony. She came. I remember calling her at home, that last song that she played. I was amazed that she played it. I was amazed at one verse. She said, even in death, give me Jesus. And as we sat here, I looked at her, and she played that solo. About maybe 45 minutes, I called her home and said, Heather, I don't know how you did that. She said, I didn't even play it. She said it, but she said, I did it. Her faith continued to hold her. And you know what? That faith will continue to hold this family. At this moment, we're going to bring this particular session of sermon, and I hope it holds to you in the memory of her, that she continued to hold faith over to the end. And I remember there's one weird thing that we shared in common. I don't know how she got involved with it. I didn't want to ask her. She was an excellent musician, but she shared a punk rock band with me. They made me Giants. She did. And I remember when I first met her, we were talking, Louis Armstrong and stuff, but like, I'm from New York City Village, that's hardcore punk. And I was like, you know, short Heather, like hardcore punk, and she was really into it. So she had some amazing secrets. I don't know. But at this moment, what we're going to do, and I'm sure, and I wanted to give ample time for this, for those of you that have been touched by her life, and I know there are many, we want to give time to pass the mic around, to give you time to share from your heart, your memories, your thoughts, your love, your joy about Heather Martin. So if you raise your hand, the microphone will get to you.
Hi, my name is Keith. I was on the worship team at Family Church with Heather for a number of years. And anyone who's had a chance to make music with Heather or to worship God with her knows what a privilege that was. I think about Heather a lot, all the time when I'm picking and planning and practicing music for church. Not just because of the songs she wrote that we still sing at Family, but because there's dozens of other songs that she put her personal creative mark on. And what she did, I couldn't sing it any other way.
My name is Dick Osborne. Very few of you here know who I am. But I remember Heather across the street, on the hill in the yard of this house across the street. 5 little girls playing with Barbies. All 5 of the little girls, including Heather, are here with us this evening. Thank you.
I haven't known Martin long. I've known him for about a year. But getting to know them when they come over to the Sarahs, Heather's very powerful with the way she used her words. And recently I've been having trouble with finding a place of employment, and she put a word in to Landis, a very good word, and if it wasn't for her and her care for other people, I wouldn't be in the position I am today.
I just want to say that I didn't know Heather that long, but it didn't take long to get to know how special she was. And it wasn't until really that we lost Kyle that I got to know her better. And I know they are together, and I know they feel each other sick very much. And she did this. She was such a fool. And I remember the first time I heard her sing, I couldn't see And I think it was a different Sunday altogether. I had to tell her, I hope she knows how big this really was. And how beautiful she was.
My daughter wants me to share this story. The Martins were over at our house for Easter this year, and while the girls were in the back, we were supposed to be hiding eggs out front, and I think Heather was the instigator of this one. So we called the girls out front, and go get it. The eggs are in the front yard, and Heather would be like, "Oh, you're getting warmer, you're getting colder." There wasn't a darn egg out there.
I got to know Heather for a very short period of time, but for the amount of time that I got to know her, I really learned so much about her. I don't know if anyone knows, there's probably a lot of people who she's a really big nerd, and you know, I really look up to her for her level of nerdiness, and that's something that I aspire to be. And one of the best things I got to do with her was being a D&D campaign with her family, and with some of our friends, and actually I think our entire party is here tonight. And
You know, so many of us, all of our characters contribute different things to the party, to how we can solve all the problems and challenges that we face. But Heather's character was I'll say a halfling or a hobbit, like the main cleric. She would heal us with healing word, and she would yodel when she would attack the entire time. She literally had to yodel in order to actually use the weapon. It was a thing, it was a mechanic. Don't ask her. And the thing that she brought to our party, you know, we all have bravery and accuracy and strength and stealth. She was the heart of our party. We crafted great stories together, and so not only are we going to have to deal with the death of her character too, and our thinking. So thank you so much, all of you, for helping us do that.
I'm here with a row of teenagers, 2, 3, 4, 5, that are all friends of Talia, and we're blessed enough to spend many evenings and afternoons at the Martin House. They were terrific about opening up the house for these kids. I've been a member at any time, providing them with a meal, basically the food bag, teaching them all about that. It always gives them a safe place where they could be themselves and where they felt loved and created advice and just took really good care of the kids. And you know, I can speak for all the parents best, and we really appreciate that.
We used to do the Bible study together at Mr. Son's house. You know, Mother and Heather, you know, we always sit there eating dinner, and she always had a big smile on her face. You would never have known that she was sick at all. She was always so pleasant and warm, and she just had good grins on her face. It was a pleasure to, you know.
So when I first met Heather, I was a good deal tinier than she was, because impossible, no. I met Heather at this critical moment in my life where I was in middle school. And like the Martins, who thankfully welcomed me with open arms, I was quite nerdy. So I was showing up to this church, and heaven knows I didn't fit in at school. And the Martins were one of those people who let this bouncy 12-year-old just walk up to them and talk about books. And Heather was one of those people where even as a 12-year-old, I was seen, and I was loved, and I was listened to. I had a voice. It was in 8th grade. I was in a small group with Emily, Ralph, and Keith, and Heather, and I decided to write a book. And she would listen to it, and I would look up after reading a chapter, and I would see her face. And it looked like she had been moved by what I wrote. And as a 12-year-old, to have that power, to see an adult who's been affected by your words, it's the sort of thing that changes me, and it opens me. And I was very blessed to have the hospitality, and I feel like as a middle schooler, and still sort of now, I sort of saw the Martins as Rob and Heather, the unit. I was in middle school, so I did not have a long list of healthy and functional relationships to look to. Middle school relationships are not famous for being functional. I could count on one hand the amount of couples that I could look at, and I was like, these people truly make each other's lives better. These people, because they are together, they are creating love for themselves and for people around them. And the Rob and Heather unit was part of why middle school me did not give up on couples. There weren't any good ones, there were only couples, but Rob and Heather, man, they were so good together. That is also really good for a middle schooler to see. I just remembered her words and her smile and how when I was around her, my words mattered. And I mattered.
Don't remind me to put a segue in the budget.
Okay, so whenever any of us would be around Heather, she would have this infectious smile that would just like make her like seem like she was glowing. And like I think of her as like an type of person. But she's like me and her would always call each other a shorty or like because we're both really short. So yeah, she has been such a big inspiration to me because she's always happy no matter what she's going through. Like my mom said, like no matter what she's going through, she would always have a smile on her face or she'd always be laughing or just so happy in general. And yeah, I'm really gonna miss that.
I do have one more thing to share. A couple of weeks ago, me and Michael here went to go visit the Martins when Heather was in the hospital. The moment we walked in there, we got a big, oh no. So we did not know how that was going to go. We come in and automatically we're starting to talk about traveling. We're talking about amusement parks. And not once was there anything talked about health. Nothing, everything was just happiness. The jokes that she told, she would crack a little joke in every other sentence. You know, everyone was laughing. Everyone was happy. Those are the moments we should remember.
Speaking of jokes, I never met anyone with such a wonderful sense of humor. A few months ago, I said to Rob, okay, you know what, I'm going to kidnap your wife and take her to New York City so I can have her sense of humor by me. So I'd like to take all her Facebook jokes and put it together, because she had the most wonderful sense of humor, and she had such a strong love and faith for God and love for her girls, and such a beautiful example of loving the Lord, smiling no matter what. And I will miss her.
While I have the mic, everybody's talking about her sense of humor, so if you run an analytics against her Facebook from comments from me, I think I booed her more than the wench booed Buttercup. If you just ran analytics against my thing, I'm telling you right now, every time I get in there and read that dumb joke, boo, every time. Every time. And now, you know what? And the funny thing is, it was a boo, it was a jealous boo because I didn't say it. Because I thoroughly enjoyed those adult funny jokes. And I actually got to say one the other day, and unfortunately Heather was gone by that point, and she wasn't able to enjoy it. But yeah, so the fact that she's going to be put into a living urn and she's going to turn into a tree. So Rob can tell that story. That story is awesome. But as he's telling me this story about she's going to be a tree, the first thing I thought was like, she's going to be taller than all of us. And the first thing I robbed up was, she would have loved so much to hear that. I said, you know, Heather, look, we're going to end up getting some kind of like dwarf spruce or something like that. So make sure the seat's right. We don't want to end up screwing that up.
So, my name's Ian. I'm a Marquis and a Martin, but for as long as I remember, Marquis and Martin didn't matter. It was all the same. So, as with the whole Martin clan, and especially my mother, it was always open arms, always love, and lots and lots of wooden carvings.
My wife has this story to tell, but she's too bashful, so she asked me to tell it. Soon after the Martins were married, we had asked them to join the Dying Portal Society, which a lot of you know about. And she said, well, I can. I said, why not? Well, she said, I don't have the proper clothing to wear that the choir wears. We men wore white shirts, black pants, and the women wore white blouses and black skirts. She said, I have a white blouse, but I don't have a black skirt. And she said, you could tell that she couldn't afford it. So rather than leave her out in the cold, my wife said, hey, I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got a lot of sewing in my ears. I'll make you a black skirt if you join. And both of them said, yes, we'll join because we love to sing. And they've been singing ever since.
I met Heather when we first started attending Valley Mennonites, and I had this middle schooler who really bonded with Rob and Heather. And it was nice to have other geeks around. But Heather was this great mom. Like, she didn't judge her kids or give them a hard time. It appeared they could wear whatever they wanted to church, including princess dresses and tiaras. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Robin Hood outfit. But she could roll. She could roll with whatever we brought. Love it.
I just wanted to say that I met her 2 years ago when I went to go to town. And when I went to youth group with Talia, some days I was just down and she would talk to me. I don't know, she would make me feel better and she always had so much love. And she made really good suits too.
Don't worry. A lot of you don't know me, but I was friends to both of them back in Messiah College when they first met. So there's no real stories that I'm going to share about the two of them, but there's this one thing that Heather used to do every morning to me, and it bugged me. It annoyed me to no end. I would get up in the morning and I'd go to the cafeteria, I'd get my coffee, and I'd go next, and I'd be sitting there just trying to wake up. And here she would come, up to the table, dressed to the nines, just all quirky and happy, and just say, smile. Every single day. And she never stopped. And one day, I finally had to reply to her. And I don't even remember what it was, but it kind of took her down a notch. And that kind of calmed down a bit after that. She never did it again. And I never really thought about it until I started telling my kids in the morning as they were stewing over their cups of coffee, right when they were going off to school or class, and I would just say, smile. And as soon as I said that, I went, oh my goodness. Thank you.
A friend of ours, Chris, he insisted that I knew Rob Martin and Heather because I graduated from Messiah College. But I graduated 10 years after they did. So no Messiah College person never knows each other. So anyway, I kept hearing these wonderful things about the Martins, and I'm like, you gotta meet them. So I finally came here one morning, and I met Rob and Heather out in the lobby there. And I was like, hi. We're supposed to be friends. Apparently we know each other. But I had heard about they opened up their house on Sunday night groups for fellowship meals, all of those things. And that night happened to be their next gathering. And that's when I got plugged into the Martin household and all the goofy, wonderful board games, food, fellowship, fun. No matter who you were, what you liked, what you didn't like, you fit in. And that really is a model of Jesus. And so we got to know the Martins. And they were an answer to our prayers because my wife, now Carrie, we were dating at the time. And we were praying for a good Christian couple to become friends with and to connect with and talk to. And they were the first Christian couple that we got to befriend. And the humor, the knowledge, if you didn't know something about a topic, bring it up to the Martins because they knew about it. And they could hold an intelligent conversation about it. And I appreciate connecting things and connecting ideas and how does this work, how does that work. And somehow we would talk about fun things and somehow we would revert it to, but isn't that how Jesus works? And one time Rob and Heather gave me this whole dissertation of how Lord of the Rings is kind of like Jesus and the ministry and how he wrote a book on it. And it was just so neat to see. And I see that legacy of love and of compassion and of care and joy for the Lord and for life in their daughters. And so I'm excited for their daughters, for Talia and Karis, to live on the legacy that Heather left behind for them. I'm thankful for the people here and for the friends that, because of the Martins, we've got to become closer with. Rob was a groomsman at my wedding, so I was honored to have him stand up by my side as I married my wife. And we just love the Martins, and we want to thank you so much for your inspiration and your influence ongoing. Thank you most of all for always having a positive, wonderful attitude that no matter what happened, the Martins are the kind of people that say, I'm not going to tell God how big my problems are. I'm going to tell my problem how big my God is.
Hi, my name's Jessica. I've been coming to meeting here at this church for 7 years. I can't even believe 7 years. And the Martins joined a small group that met at the Sarah's home, my brother and sister-in-law, a couple years ago, and just brought a liveliness and a spirit of love into the house every time they came. And I remember one time we were having this conversation about how sometimes, like, it's hard to feel accepted and loved by other people, and how she felt so loved and accepted by the Sarah household and our small group. And I was reflecting on that, and I thought to myself, we were the ones that were accepted and loved by her. It
But sometimes when you look back at things, you think, is there really the way you thought it was going to be? It's totally different, and that's how God intended it to be. And she used to joke around that me and my sister-in-law Julie and Dana are surrogate sisters, and we were the sorority. So we're missing a sister, but we know she is with us anyway, and she is where the Lord has designed her to be. And she has cleared a path for us to take along with her. And I just am so thankful to have known her, to have been loved by her and her family. And I just thank you all for sharing your memories with us.
Okay, so I've been asked to share a story through my friend here. And it says that she doesn't exactly remember how she met Heather, but it was through a certain middle schooler and maybe some science parties. So there's this lovely memory that we both have, which is of Heather at our science parties. And there's some fire and some really cool colors. You can see Heather's face lighting up. It's really cool stuff, and it's a nice memory to have. How excited she was. And also, she always had the best garden posts on Facebook, because no matter how many pounds of tomatoes there were, Heather always knew exactly what to do with them.
I need to segue.
Hello. I was friends with Mrs. Martin. Well, I still am friends with Mrs. Martin. I sure hope so. Yeah, but she was just the most wonderful person I've ever met. She was full of love and heart, and she basically adopted all of us. We had a movie marathon of Marvel movies because we love Marvel movies, and I hadn't drinking water all day since I had been there, and she immediately rushed to the kitchen and grabbed me a glass of water, and she was just so good. Thank you.
My name is Robert Martin.
Not me, the other way.
This guy's my son. Married to Heather. Anyway, be that as it may. My wife, Judy, commented many times how funny Heather was with her puns. She wasn't just funny, she was very punny. And she always had a way of taking whatever the circumstance, whatever the issue was, making a pun out of it. We like to read those on Facebook that she posts periodically. We're going to miss you, Heather.
My name is Erin. I'm Heather Watkins. About 4 years ago, I went to a Sunday night through my friend Chris again, and Gary, who couldn't be here tonight, just insisting that I had to meet Heather. You have to meet her. She's your height. You have to meet her. She's amazing. Finally came out and just fell in love with this family, and just felt so lovely, and was just so thrilled that this family could talk sarcasm just as well and not be offended at anything that was said. I love you guys.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I grew up in Connecticut. When I was a freshman in high school, I met Heather, who was a senior. And I just want to tell you all that listening to these stories, as what often happens when we get older, sometimes we lose touch. And I hadn't seen Heather and Rob in a long time. And I'm listening to all these wonderful stories. She was just like this in high school too. And that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy to know that all of these wonderful memories that I have, and there are a whole lot of people from New Milford, Connecticut, who are mourning the loss of Heather. And she had a big impact on our lives. And it makes me really happy to hear that she continued that. And this weekend, I'm going to be having a Monty Python marathon in her honor.
So something people always remember about my mother is her cooking. I'll highlight one of my friend's favorite dishes was her baked macaroni and cheese. And I would, when I would schedule a meetup with my friends at my house, and they would ask, "Is your mom making mac and cheese?" I would be like, "Mom, they want mac and cheese again." She'd be like, "Whatever, I guess so." And Solomon over there, he got the recipe from her because he loved it so much and tried to make it, and it was like, not the same. She just kind of had that special touch that she put in everything she made. Like me and my sister, for instance.
The humor passes on.
I could say 1,000 stories about Heather, just how awesome a person she was. It was such a pleasure making music with her. You know, and, she definitely she made my job so much easier. You know, when you play with people that are just so good with music and stuff like that, it came so natural to them. It was just, you know, it makes you better. And I think that's what I can say about Heather, is that she made everyone around her better. And the song that we did earlier was just so appropriate, God of Angel Armies, because I remember Heather sitting behind the piano singing that when she was going through her first battle with breast cancer. Oh, sorry. Oh, it was a miracle I could even get through the song, honestly. I don't not think about anything. But just that was her testimony, was sincerity in her faith, authenticity, and she finished strong. She never let up with her faith. She was obedient. She never lost her joy. And she was just an amazing person.
I think the spirit of my mom just touched me because I had a great idea. Ryan mentioned earlier that we were going to be planting my mom as a tree, right? We're going to be planting her as a tree. It's going to be a special biodegradable urn with a cool seed in it that will grow into a tree. And he mentioned
that if we plant the wrong tree, she will be much shorter than everyone else. If we end up planting the wrong seed, will things have taken an urn for the worst?
Pray for me.
Take it a different direction. I wanted to give a testimony of something. One of the scripture passages that was read today was one of Heather's favorite songs that she's been holding on to for the past few months. There's a line in there that says, "I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." And one of the things that we all hope for is the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living is a healing in this life. However, I want to testify to something that is a testimony to the God of the details, and it was Heather that kind of started pointing this out to me. And so again, there's the recognition of the purification of her faith. Starting from the first time she did the ER a week ago, all the way up until the day she went into the ER this past Wednesday, there was a believer somewhere nearby in the room with her, taking care of her. We had Christian nurses, we had Christian administrators, we had Christian technicians, helping her with the radiology test. We had Christian men and women transporting her from one room to another in the bed. We had, it was one person after another. And I recall distinctly the gentleman's name, his name was Jack, who was a nurse practitioner in the ER on Wednesday. And he took a moment after he explained what was going on to remind me that it's not goodbye, it's see you later. And then he took a moment to pray with us before he went on and did his doctor things. And this is something that Heather recognized and gave glory to in God in everything that she was done. But her humor continued because I had to go home and pick up Talia from school. And on my way out, I said, "Now don't make trouble with the nurses." And she said, "Oh darn." So,
I have one more thing to say. I remember whenever she would come over for game nights over at my brother's house, her, Rob, and the girls were so passionate about winning games. They were like, right? They were what?
Said welcome to the Martins.
I know, right? Yeah, as soon as if they win or something, Rob would be like, "In your face," or he just gets so serious. And I'm like, I'm scared. But just enjoying those little moments. I'll never forget those moments because it was just something so raw and original. It just it's incredible how somebody can be so passionate about their lives and just about how their personality is, and just they all the Martins all together have such a great, beautiful personality, and I hope you guys never lose that. Yeah, so.
First thing I want to say is the fact that I only saw Heather twice a year since me and my family live in Ohio. But when I did see her, it was always a great time. There was her jokes, her games, her stories. It wasn't really ever a serious or sad time with her. And I'm just thankful for the time that I got to spend with her. It'll be different now that she's in a better place. I can't wait to see her again.
This crazy guy, shortly after Heather passed away, he said, "I'm pretty sure she has found my mom in heaven." And he commandeered a piano from the angels that they're playing duets.
I know that as a Marquis as well, just always feeling that just that sense of acceptance from the Martins was always so impactful, and just having that one side of the family that even though you weren't related to them, they were still your family no matter what. And whenever we went up to Camp Deer Park or we went on one of our trips, we always, whenever you saw Aunt Heather, it was like you kind of been away from her for 2 minutes. You always knew that, there was always that presence of her with you, and just always that knowing of like story that she told or a joke that she told, and just always, you always knew something about Aunt Heather, and she was always just there with you, and she will always be there with us, and she will always feel that presence with us.
Kyle from Winnipeg. I didn't get a chance to know Heather as much as y'all. My direct connection is through Rob and through communities and online, things like that. My story is that when I hear yours, I'm going to lose it, by the way. I'm trying not to get through it. But when I hear your stories, I hear how much I experienced Heather through Rob and his two girls and the limited contacts that I've had with them. That these things you tell, I'm like, I see that reflected in the three of them. And so there's a part of me that feels joy because I got to meet Heather more because I get to meet the three of you. And that she continues to live on through the three of you. And I get to experience that. So that's my joy today.
A couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of going to the art museum in Philly with Karis and Heather and my mom. And it was just such a different experience for the two of them because they just saw so beauty in such a different way. And I think that's what Heather did, I think, with people too. I think no matter what people said or she just always was able to have a positive attitude with people. I really appreciate that and hope that I can do the same.
before I give the benediction, I just want to give you the final instructions. Gentlemen on the sides, and usher you back, you back to my throat, they'll usher you downstairs with like refreshments, and then family will come down, spend some time together, and just enjoy these last moments. I'm gonna have you now all stand for benediction. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine, or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor the angels or demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Father, today we give you joy and blessing upon your name for all you've done for us. Now I pray over this people, these great people that have come to share their love for us. I ask that you give them mercy, grace, and peace. Everyone, in Jesus' name, go in peace. Let us all say amen. Amen. One peace, brothers and sisters.
What's up?
Where's that going to? Where am I being fed to?